Let me tell you something. Uh, they saying my credit bad. Now you say who is they? See, I'm saying this what I'm talking about. 15 years ago, SunTrust Bank and the financial complex of America came against me, right? Because SunTrust Bank made a mistake on my mortgage now, right? So now I'm saying at that time I paid off my house, everything I owed, my wife owned was paid off. We didn't owe nobody nothing. Now they saying I owe them. See, but I'm in court with them, right? They won't come to court with me, but they keep harassing me. See, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying it's 15 years we was in court. Now the state of Florida didn't hear the case, throw the case out, but now people saying I owe them. So I'm saying, well, how you don't owe me for stealing my house, and the state of Florida aided and abetted the banks in stealing my house? Now the banks acting like we cool, like everything cool with us. I'm saying, man, you stole my house and you done sold my house. So now, is that not dealing in stolen property? See, this is what I'm saying to people who done been in jail for selling and buying stolen goods. I'm saying, so why did you have to pay for the crime you committed against whoever you committed the crime against? And now the bank can rob my account just like a bank robber robbed the bank. The bank can then steal my house just like somebody steals something out of somebody's house. But now you can steal my whole house and all of the contents in it and say that you evicted me legally. Then I can show you court documents where I'm in court with you, and then people say, well, Tommy, you lost the house. You just don't want to admit you lost the house. And I'm saying, well, if I lost the house, why did you give me more in tax return than I owed for the house? They gave me $880,000 on an income tax return. The income tax was worth $1 million that my company, Folk Houses Incorporated, paid me. See, so I paid $200,000 in taxes. They gave me, it was supposed to give me $877,000. They gave me $880,000. I called my friends, they now saying, man, you gonna go to jail. So this is what I'm saying, right? Can a slave or a descendant of slaves ever be intelligent to a descendant of slaves or a slave? See what I'm saying? Like, they never gonna wanna see that I'm smart, right? And I'm saying, well, maybe I'm not as smart as you at what you do. But why you think I'm not smart at what I do if you smart at what you do? Now, if I did the same thing you did and I was as passionate as you are about what you doing, then I would be you. I would be you as me being just as passionate about what we both doing. See what I'm saying? But I don't work with you, but I'm passionate about my work. Okay, but look, so now I say, we are now all free slaves in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, for whom are now led by former slaves, for whom are now leaders of the free world. Is there no wonder why mental slaves, see, so I'm saying, you know, you wondering, and I'm saying, well, there's no need to wonder. So I'm saying, is there no wonder why mental slaves, see, so we're not physically enslaved no more, we are mentally enslaved, in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world are now all fighting religiously to be free from slaves' religions, for which, according to the Black's Law Dictionary, is legally defined as a system of faith and worship in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, usually involving belief in a supreme being in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, usually containing morals or ethical codes, especially such a system recognized and practiced in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world by a particular church, sect, or denomination was an infant, for which is defined as, well, I'm going to say for whom. Now what I'm saying is, if religion was an infant, for whom is defined as a child in the first period of life, for which is defined as the quality that distinguishes a vital and functioning being from a dead body. But now I'm going to say in hoods, projects, communities. Because see, we dying so young that I want you young kids to understand that you are a living being, and maybe you will stop killing each other at such alarming rates. See, because if you keep killing each other, then you're going to bring your number of death rounds sooner than you're supposed to have it, because once you kill someone going to want to kill you. See, because everybody loves somebody. And see, when you kill somebody love, then your life don't become valuable. See, because now it's a life for a life. See, we gotta all be careful, man, because a mistake could cause the end of the world. See, okay, so look, a life for which is defined as the quality that distinguishes a vital and functioning being from a dead body in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world. Every religion. So see, what I'm saying is, it was an infant that every religion, for which is defined as a personal set or institutionalized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices in the world found. So see, what I'm saying is, if every religion found a child and the child was religion itself, see, so that's what I'm saying. So then I'm saying, but I'm just getting deeper into it. So I'm saying, in practice in the world found, for which is defined as to establish worship. See, so see, now when you find this new religion and it's a child, you gonna establish worship to the child, not feed the child that you found. See, and that's what I'm saying about you all who elders in your understanding. When you find a child, that's why I say a child will lead them. When you find the child, do you starve the child like you starved me? Do you starve the child? Do you whoop the child like you whooped me when you asked me a question when I was 6 years old? Man, this is what I'm saying. Religious people have punished me religiously my whole life. And now the people, these children who are now their parents to me, are now punishing me. And I'm saying, well, listen, man, my grandmother's generation punished me. That's why I left the church. Now I'm trying to help you with something happening to me, and now you persecute me because you went to the church. See, I'm saying, well, hey man, why you not a better person going into the church and coming out of the church? See, you went into the church, so you should be a better person coming out. I was born in the church and then throwed out. So how could I go back to where I was thrown out of? See, I'm saying this what happened to me. And now you mad at me. Well, what about the person who did it to me? Why you mad with me and not the person who's starving me to this day? But anyway, that every religion for which is defined as a personal set or institutionalized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices in the world found, for which is defined as to establish worship, for which is defined as to honor or show reverence for as a divine being or supernatural power at the same time in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida on August 12, 2008 at 10:40 in the morning, would the religious, for which is defined as relating to or manifesting faithful devotion to an acknowledged ultimate reality, fight, for which is defined as to contend in battle or physical combat, especially to strive to overcome a person by blows or weapons over religion, for which is defined as the service and worship of God, or the supreme natural religiously, for which is defined as of, relating to, or devoted to religious beliefs in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida on February 20th in 2018 at 9:20 in the morning, while religion, for which is defined as a commitment or devotion to religious faith, starve, for which is defined as to perish from lack of food in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world in religion, for which is defined as the state of religious infancy. See, for which is defined as early childhood in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, and judgment halls all over the world. So now, what I'm saying is, right, some man or one man is going to prison with a child. Now the state is going to take care of the mother or the father because of the crime that the mother or father committed. Now, who going to take care of the child, right? So do the child now be punished for the mother or father or mother and father's crimes? See, that happened to me. See what I'm saying? Like, people in my family charge me with what they charged my mother and father with. Now, they act like I don't know, and I'm saying, well, how wouldn't I know how you treated me? But what I'm saying is, that made me, so now I just want to save my children from being made like that. See what I'm saying? Because pain and rejection made me. So I can handle rejection, I can handle pain, but I'm afraid of love because love seems like it be used. See what I'm saying? See, it seems like if a person love me, they try to take the love and make me do something. But I'm saying that's the last thing that would move me, is you taking something from me. See, if you love me, that's mine. But if you use it against me, it's yours. So I have to understand that it's a weapon that you use against me. And I can't let no weapon formed against me prosper. See what I'm saying? Because you will hurt me. That's what I'm saying. See, I'm not saying that biblically. I'm saying that real. I'm saying if you're trying to hurt me, even if in your understanding you trying to help me, Well, I have to defeat your understanding of what you doing. I know you love me. That's why you using your love for me to save me from what you see. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is I have an enemy outside of you. So if I allow your love to make me let this enemy go, then that enemy is going to be in our bloodline. So that's like allowing cancer to be in the body of your creation. See, so Four Castles is a spiritual creation that an evil entity tried to enter into. So I had to put a hedge of protection around that entity, Four Castles Incorporated. Now, that entity, which is Four Castles Incorporated, is protected by the founding documentation that the United States of America is protected by. So now that makes us one and the same. See, because we're both protected inside of the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida with the Florida Constitution, the Florida Bill of Rights. See, and then when we was denied of that right, we went federal, and that's when we was protected with the Florida Constitution, the United States Constitution, the Florida Bill of Rights, the United States Bill of Rights, the United States Declaration of Independence, statutory law. See, that's when I threw the book at them. See, I threw the federal book at them and I threw the state book. See, the state of Florida is actually no more. It's actually Four Castles Incorporated. See, but when I went into the federal court system, then Four Castles Incorporated became the United States government. See, it's not the United States, it's the government. But this is the thing about the truth. See, nobody is never really gonna let the truth set nobody free, because the person who done enslaved everybody with the lie is never gonna let you go. See, the truth gives you back to yourself. See, the person who lying on you is keeping you coming back for some more treatment. See, when you dealing with a liar, that's why you got to keep coming back for more treatment. You need another lie. See, because that lie they told you wearing off. So you go get some more lies to start to understand, oh, that ain't okay, now I see. Because now the person explaining to you that what you see, you don't really see. So they explaining it to you, and now they got you, because they telling you that what you see, you really don't see. You need to look at it from this way, see? And now you stuck on stupid. But anyway, okay, so it says, as the religious for which is defined as I'm going to say for whom in this instance. For whom is defined as a member of a religious order under monastic, for which is defined as, boy, I'm proud of myself on that, resembling life in a monastery, for which is defined as a house for persons under religious vows continue to fight, for which is defined as to put forth a determined effort religiously over the ownership, for which is defined as the Black Law Dictionary, which ownership for which, according to the Black's Law Dictionary, is legally defined as the bundle of rights allowing one to use, manage, and enjoy property, including the right of religion, for which is defined as a cause, principle, or system of beliefs in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida, as well as in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida for eternity and beyond infinity, for which is where every religion for whom found mine, for whom name is Petty Officer 3rd Class Tommy Chansey Council Sr., of the United States Navy's religion in religion's infancy. See, I'm saying now my religion you finding if you go inside of the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida, or if you go into the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida, you will see that on 2 different occasions, on August 12th in 2008, I did this, which shows you that I am the truth, the light, and the way, because I went in as the truth, I came out as the truth. See what I'm saying? Then I went in on February, I came in and out on February 20th, but I came out at 9:20 in the morning of the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida, and I submitted my truth that allowed me to go in and out of the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida on August 12th in 2008 at 10:40 in the morning, allowed me to go into the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida and out on February 20th in 2018 at 9:20 in the morning. So how is that not an absolute truth? If it allowed me to go from state to federal and back to a citizen. No criminal record. I have 2 misdemeanors. That is evidence of the mark of the beast. So the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, put a misdemeanor mark on my criminal record that's illegal. So that's showing the mark of the beast on my criminal record. Then I'm showing you that they getting a mark of the beast on my financial record. See what I'm saying? So that's when I would go and get Revelations 13 and show you the devil in my life. See, but your preachers don't do that. See, they just tell you about the mark of the beast. They don't tell you about the beast that'll give you the mark. See, I'm showing you the beasts that gave me their mark. See, I'm not just telling you that they'll do it. I'm showing you how they did it, why they did it, and why they shouldn't be able to do it to you. See, and that's what they don't do. See, Navy's religion in religions. See, so religions, see now my religion, because my testimony is now added to the Prophet Muhammad's testimony and now added to the prophets in the old Bible's testimonies, and now you can see the difference between John's testimony and Matthew's testimony, who was actual disciples of Jesus, and Saul's testimony, who is a persecutor of Christians. So you can start to see who brought in the lie. It had to be Saul, who was the first king of slaves. So that's what I'm telling you. See, I'm a descendant of slaves, but the devil made me a king because I wouldn't sacrifice my truth. See, I allowed my truth to be done. And once the truth manifested my title, then whatever title you give a leader, I have ascended to that title. Whether it's an emperor, king, a god, Allah, whatever title you give it, once you define it, I'll fit that description. Who else can fit it inside of the judgment hall? If Jesus became a religion inside of the judgment hall in Jerusalem, then why didn't I become a religion inside of the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida on August 12th in 2008 at 10:40 in the morning? Is it because I rose to the occasion and you didn't validate me? But I'm saying, well, how do you know God? If you knew God, then you should have rose to the occasion that I rose to. Now, why would you stop me from coming back to my wife if I rose to the occasion as my wife's husband? See, I'm not the father of your church. I'm not your preacher, pastor, minister, bishop. I'm nothing to you, but I'm everything to her, and I'm everything to my children. But see, I allowed my truth to save you from the lie that you would have had to face. And I'm showing you how powerful the liars are. See, but I'm saying that they are nothing compared to the truth. See, no matter how powerful a liar is, they are nothing compared to the truth's power. See, because once the people see your truth, they're going to see that you and your truth are one. And then they can believe what you say because you went through hell to prove that your word is your bond. See, and how can anybody talk against what a man doing or what a woman doing? See, you can't talk against actions because actions speak louder than words. But anyway, okay, so religion's emphasis, for which is defined as a beginning or early period of existence in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, fighting against the state of Florida's state religion, for which, according to the Black's Law Dictionary, is legally defined as a religion illegally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally promoted, taught, as well as enforced by the state of Florida's government in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida ever since August 12th in 2008 at 10:40 in the morning, as well as illegally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally promoted, taught, as well as enforced by the United States of America in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida on February 20th in 2018 at 9:20 in the morning. But instead of the religious, for whom all found my for whom name is Petty Officer 3rd Class Tommy Chancey Council Sr. of the United States Navy's religion in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida on August 12th in 2008 at 10:40 in the morning, feeding my for whom name is President Tommy Chancey Council Sr. of Four Castles Incorporated, like a good mother feeds the mother's infant child the first time the mother and the child meets in the place the mother delivered the baby, which is why I, for whom name is King Tommy Chancey Council Sr. of Four Castles Incorporated, am now illegally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally being starved by the religious, for whom found me, for whom name is Petty Officer 3rd Class Tommy Chancey Council Sr. of the United States Navy, for which is why I, for whom name is King Tommy Chancey Council Sr. of Four Castles Incorporated, am now wondering, do history, for which is defined as an established record legally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally support, for which is defined as to endure history, for which is defined as a branch of knowledge in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world that are supposed, for which is defined as to lay down tentatively, for which is defined as with hesitancy, for which is defined as slowly enacting or deciding due to doubt or uncertainty as a hypothesis, for which is defined as an interpretation of a practical situation or condition taken as grounds for assumption, for which is defined as a taking to or upon oneself by proposal, for which is defined as an act of putting forward or stating record, for which is defined as furnish written evidence for consideration and explains past events in history, for which is defined as events that shape and structure the subject matter, for which is defined as matters in hoods, projects, communities, hoods, project communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, presented in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world for consideration and discussion, thought, as well as study in judgment halls all over the world, or do history, for which is defined as events of the past in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, legally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally revealed, for which is defined as to make known to God's children in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, to make known to Allah's children in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, as well as to make known to my for whom name is King Tommy Chancey Council Sr. of Four Councils Incorporated's atheist children in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world through divine inspiration in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, that history for which is defined as previous treatment, handling, as well as experiences of God's children in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, Allah's children in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, and prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, as well as my for whom name is King Tommy Chancey Council Sr. of Four Councils Incorporated atheist children in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, legally, historically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally show, for which is defined as to cause God's children in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, and prisons all over the world, jails and prisons and judgment halls all over the world. Allah's children in hood, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, as well as mine for whom name is King Tommy Chancey Council Sr. of Four Councils Incorporated atheist children in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world to become blind, for which is defined as of or relating to sightless history, for which is defined as a chronological record of significant events, such as those affecting a nation or institution, often including an explanation of their causes in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, has never legally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, nor truly, federally supported, for which is defined as to promote the interests of freedom, for which is defined as the absence of necessity and choice, as well as action in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world. Because America, for which is defined as a country, for which is defined as the land of a person's birth, residence, or citizenship, for which is a federal republic in North America bordering on the Atlantic, Pacific, and Arctic oceans, for whom capital is Washington, D.C., legal, historical, biblical, religious, spiritual, financial, mental, and federal history, for which is defined as a chronological record of significant events, such as those affecting a nation or institution, often including an explanation of their causes in a court of law, legally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally testify, for which, according to the Black's Law Dictionary, is legally defined as to give evidence as a witness to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech on August 28th in 1964 at the Lincoln Memorial, which is when, where, how, as well as why Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was able to historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, as well as federally address the crowd in Jerusalem for whom asked the descendants of Pontius Pilate in Washington, D.C., for whom ancestors crucified, for which is defined as to put to death Jesus of Nazareth of Galilee on a wooden cross on Calvary in Jerusalem by nailing the wrist and feet of Jesus of Nazareth of Galilee to a cross on Calvary in Jerusalem, for which caused the illegal, historical, biblical, religious, spiritual, financial, mental, and federal release, for which is defined as to illegally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally set free Barabbas, for whom is defined as a prisoner, according to Matthew, Mark, and John, released in preference, for which is defined as the power as well as the opportunity of choosing Barabbas in the judgment hall in Jerusalem over Jesus, for whom is, okay, I said, now I gotta change, for whom is defined as the Jewish religious teacher, whose life, death, and resurrection, as reported by the evangelists, are the basis of the Christian message of Christ, for whom is defined as an ideal type of humanity, for which is defined as the quality of being human in the judgment hall in Jerusalem at the demand of the multitude in Jerusalem, which is why Pontius Pilate, for whom is defined as a Roman procreator, for which is defined as one that manages another's affairs of Judea, for which is defined as the southern division of ancient Palestine under Persian, Greek, and Roman rule, succeeding the kingdom of Judea, for which is defined as a kingdom in the southern part of ancient Palestine, whose capital was Jerusalem, released Barabbas. See, so I'm showing, see, remember I was telling you about how they talking about what's happening now. See, but I'm saying, look at what happened to Jesus in this same Jerusalem. See what I'm saying? So when was the ideology in religious Jerusalem ever conducive to the truth? See, it's no truth can go in there now, right? And it's no truth was in there when Jesus was in there. That's why they crucified him, so they can then, so you who was spread it abroad mentally, thinking without their supervision, can now come back to the church. So see, it was a murder that brought you to the altar. See, if Jesus wouldn't have been murdered, would you then be in church? So without the murder, would you be saved from what? See, now, if a murderer has called you into his midst Is that now why Dr. Martin Luther King was murdered religiously? Minister Malcolm X was murdered religiously. Gandhi was murdered religiously. And anybody who wants freedom from the status quo is now either slandered, defamed, or assassinated. So where is God in any of the triggers that's been pulled, or any of the nails that's been entered into the hands of Jesus? Where is a father? See, that's why there is no fathers now. Okay, so look. Release Barabbas in the judgment hall in Jerusalem from restraint, confinement, as well as servitude to the cross on Calvary in Jerusalem. And illegally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally enslaved Jesus of Nazareth of Galilee in religion. See what I'm saying? For which is defined as a personal set. See what I'm see Jesus stopped being Mary's son. He started being your idol of worship. But you did not worship Jesus of Nazareth of Galilee to this day. You worship Jesus Christ. See, Jesus of Nazareth of Galilee was like Dr. Martin Luther King, Gandhi, President Nelson Mandela. See, they were deities that saw that you were being led off of your foundation. So then they spoke their truth to those in power. See, not speaking truth to power, because when you speak the truth, there is nothing more powerful than you. So what you're doing is you're speaking your truth to positions of power. See, because once you speak the truth, you ascend to that position, because you're letting, once your truth reach that position, then you're letting the person who in that position know that they are not worthy of the position they're in, because they couldn't recognize the truth. See, now once, if they would have acknowledged an innocent man, then the world would have known truth. See what I'm saying? It would have been two truths. It would have been my truth and the person who acknowledged it to be true. See, now I have to prove my own truth. Now I'm disproving reality. see, the realer I get, the false, the faker everything around me get. See what I'm saying? Because I'm not supposed to be in these poverty and impoverished circumstances. I have a wealth of knowledge, but I'm around murderers and thieves. See, that's why Jesus was given Barabbas' cross and not the tree of life. See, but anyway, that's too deep for y'all. But okay, which is why the descendants of the high priest wait a minute, is that it? Okay, hold on, I'm gonna say that enslaved Jesus of Nazareth of Galilee in religion, for which is defined as a personal set or institutionalized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, which is why the descendants of the high priest Caiaphas, the Pharisees, the chief priests, the high priests, the scribes, and the elders of the people in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world continue to make false statements in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, and prisons all over the world, which is why God, for whom is defined as the supreme and ultimate reality in heaven, historically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally used Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally address the descendants of Barabbas in Washington, D.C., for whom's father's insurrection, for which is defined as an act or instance of revolting in Jerusalem, illegally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally caused the state of Florida's revolt in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida on August 12th in 2008 at 10:40 in the morning, as well as in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida on February 20th in 2018 at 9:20 in the morning against humanity, for which is defined as compassionate, sympathetic, or generous behavior or disposition in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida on August 12th in 2008 at 10:40 in the morning, as well as in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida on February 20th in 2018 at 9:20 in the morning, for which is why I, for whom name is Petty Officer 3rd Class Tommy Chancey Counsel Sr. of the United States Navy, legally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally charged the United States of America with aiding and abetting, for which, according to the Black's Law Dictionary, is legally defined as to assist the state of Florida in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida on August 12th in 2008 at 10:40 in the morning with the state of Florida's crime against humanity, for which, according to the Black's Law Dictionary, is legally defined as a mentally brutal crime in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida on August 12th in 2008 at 10:40 in the morning, as well as in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida on February 20th in 2018 at 9:20 in the morning, that legally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally proves in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida on August 12th in 2008 at 10:40 in the morning, as well as in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida on February 20th in 2018 at 9:20 in the morning, that the incident in Jerusalem was not an isolated incident in Jerusalem, but instead involves large and systematic actions in the temple in Jerusalem, the Judgment Hall in Jerusalem, at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida on August 12th in 2008 at 10:40 in the morning, as well as in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida on February 20th in 2018 at 9:20 in the morning, which is why darkness, for which is defined as the total or near total absence of light, for which is defined as truth, for which is defined as the body of real things, events, and facts in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida, as well as in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida for eternity and beyond infinity, is now illegally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally cloaked, for which is defined as a loose garment, for which is defined as an article, for which is defined as a distinct, often numbered section of the Florida Constitution, the United States Constitution, the Florida Bill of Rights, the United States Bill of Rights, the United States Declaration of Independence, statutory law, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Ten Commandments, the Holy Bible, and the Holy Quran, with official authority in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, that legally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally shocks, for which is defined as a sudden or violent mental or emotional disturbance of the consciousness, for which is defined as the sense of the moral goodness or blameworthiness of one's own conduct, intentions, or character, together with a feeling of obligation to do right or be good for humankind, for which is defined as human race, for which is defined as any one of the groups that humans are often divided into based on physical traits regarded as common among people of shared ancestry in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida on August 12th in 2008 at 10:40 in the morning, as well as in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida on February 20th in 2018 at 9:20 in the morning, after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., for whom is defined as an American clergyman and civil rights leader, for whom legally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally confronted, for which is defined as to face especially the challenges of the inhumane acts of the citizens of the United States of America's racial persecution in the South that was sadly permitted by the domestic laws of the United States of America on religious grounds in Jerusalem, as well as on religious grounds in the United States in Washington, United States of America in Washington, D.C., is why Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is an act of God, for whom, according to the Black's Law Dictionary, is legally defined as an overwhelming as well as unpreventable event in Washington, D.C., caused by the forces of nature in the United States of America, which legally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally caused the act of God, for whom are defined as an extraordinary interruption by a natural cause of the usual course of events in Washington, D.C., to speak to the attendees of the crowd in Jerusalem, as well as has allowed the attendees of the crowd in Washington, D.C. to historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally hear Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I have a dream speech in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida, as well as in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida for eternity and beyond infinity, as the leader of Moses, for whom is defined as a Hebrew prophet who led the Israelites out of Egyptian slavery and at Mount Sinai delivered the laws establishing God's covenant with the Exodus, for which is defined as a mass assembly, for which is defined as a company of persons gathered for the deliberation and legislation, worship, entertainment in Washington, D.C., for whom historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally marched into Washington, D.C. on August 28th in 1963. Is why I, for whom name is King Tommy Chancey Council Sr. of Fort Council Incorporated, legally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally charged, for which is defined as a formal allegation of an offense by those for whom have all illegally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally misled the exodus of Moses in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, which is why the exodus of Moses, as well as the civil rights movement, are all now illegally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally separated into religious denominations, for which are, for which are defined as a religious organization whose congregations, for which are defined as a religious community in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, which caused Minister Malcolm X to lead the Muslims in New York City, Dr. Martin Luther King to lead the civil rights movement in Washington, D.C., and me, for whom simple name is simply Tommy Chancey Council Sr., to have to lead all inside of the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida, as well as in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida for eternity and beyond infinity. Which is why I, for whom name is Petty Officer 3rd Class Tommy Chancey Council Sr. of the United States Navy, am now a legal, historical, biblical, religious, spiritual, financial, mental, and federal redeemer, for whom is defined as a person for whom name is President Tommy Chancey Counselor Sr. of Four Counselors Incorporated, who redeems, for which is defined as to release the Florida Constitution, the United States Constitution, the Florida Bill of Rights, the United States Bill of Rights, the United States Declaration of Independence, statutory law, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Ten Commandments, the Holy Bible, and the Holy Quran, and my for whom name is King Tommy Chancey Counselor Sr. of Four Counselors Incorporated's historical, biblical, religious, spiritual, financial, mental, and federal redemption, for which, according to the Black's Law Dictionary, is legally defined as an act or instance of reclaiming the mentally enslaved children of God in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, an instance of reclaiming the children of Allah in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, as well as an instance of reclaiming my for whom name is King Tommy Chancey Counselor Sr. of Four Counselors Incorporated's atheist children in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, a legally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, mentally, financially, mentally, and federally a simple task, for which is defined as a usually assigned piece of work, often to be finished within a certain time by me, for whom simple name is simply Tommy Chancey Counselor Sr. But an impossible task, for which is defined as something hard or unpleasant that has to be done by God's children in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, Allah's children in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world, and mine for whom name is King Tommy Chancey Counselor Sr. of Four Counselors Incorporated's atheist children in hoods, projects, communities, schools, colleges, universities, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, detention centers, jails, prisons, and judgment halls all over the world to understand, for which is defined as to grasp the meaning of the United States Postal Service, sending me, for whom simple name is simply Tommy Chancey Counselor Sr., 0 checks for around about 2 years and 8 months. Is why I, for whom name is Petty Officer 3rd Class Tommy Chancey Counselor Sr. of the United States Navy, legally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, financially, mentally, and federally filed, for which is defined as to submit a legal document to the proper office as the office of a clerk of the court for keeping on file among the record, oh man, what is that? Okay, hold on, something happened. Among the records in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida, as well as in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida for eternity and beyond infinity, especially as a procedural step in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida on August 12th in 2008 at 10:40 in the morning, as well as in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida on February 20th in 2018 at 9:20 in the morning in the legal proceedings for the emancipation, for which is defined as the act or process of emancipating, for which is defined as to free Four Counselors Incorporated, Chancey Incorporated, as well as me, for whom simple name is simply Tommy Chancey Counselor Sr., legally, historically, biblically, religiously, spiritually, mentally, and federally from the illegal, historical, biblical, religious, spiritual, mental, and federal restraint, control, and power of the angels of the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, as well as the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, in the midst of the Garden of Eden, specifically in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida on August 12th in 2008 at 10:40 in the morning, as well as in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida on February 20th in 2018 at 9:20 in the morning, as President Tommy Chancey Council Sr. of Four Councils Incorporated. So now, what I'm boy, that took a minute. But what I'm saying is, right, is that, see, the post office sent me 0 checks. So Dr. Martin Luther King, on when he was in Washington, D.C. in August 28th of 1963, in the speech, now it's too late now, right, because this done took me an hour. So what I'm going to do, but not today, I'm tired. But tomorrow, I'm going to get the I Have a Dream speech. Then I'm going to go through it and tell you where I fulfill the speech. See, like, I'm saying history is now testifying to the history I'm making. So I'm history in the making. So now, just like Dr. Martin Luther King is now what he should have been, see, now I'm showing you what Dr. Martin Luther King was and what I should be. See, I should be able to bless you not with money, but with a job. See, and because I'm trying to get you to understand that money is why you can't live. See, because now it talks about how much something costs. So how are you free if you can't afford the cost to live? See what I'm saying? So what I did was I went and paid the cost for us to live. So now it's not about how much something costs, it's about how many we can produce, because now the workers is now having the opportunity to address their needs. So now what I need is food, water, shelter, and clothes. See what I'm saying? Now, but what I want is the Dallas Cowboys, all the teams in Florida, the Miami Hurricanes. See, that's my school. That's for football only. By basketball, North Carolina Tar Heels. But I'm not from North Carolina, so that's not what I want. Now, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. See, so I want the Dallas Cowboys, but I already won the Chicago Cubs when the owner of the Orlando Sentinel owned them. Back in 15 years ago, see, he sold it, see, and that is stolen property. You cannot sell something to avoid being sued. That's a crime. That's selling stolen property. So what I was doing was, when the post office sent me 0 checks, I turned the 0 checks, well, just 1. See, because I'm under this, I'm saying, okay, if you're gonna send me 0 checks, right? Now that means I get to cash each one of those checks when I want to. Because according to Amendment 14, let me show you what I'm saying here so you will know what I'm talking about. See, according to Amendment 14, the validity of the public debt of the United States, now this Amendment 14, Section 4, it says the validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law. See, that's the Florida Constitution, the United States Constitution, the Florida Bill of Rights, the United States Bill of Rights, the United States Declaration of Independence, statutory law, and the Civil Rights Act of 1964. See, that's the laws. See, now, if the United States Postal Service sent me 0 checks, well, my checks came from the Treasury Department. So now, where is my money? So right there, that's messing with the validity of how valid it is of the national debt because you got my checks in there that you didn't pay me. See, you sent me 0 checks. So right there, that's a crime because you are responsible for all of my financial damages. How can a company send its employees a check for 2 years every 2 weeks and not be messing with the bottom line of your company because you had to pay somebody to send me them 0 checks? So now, if you sending me 0 checks for 2 years, 8 months, how could anybody think that I threaten you? Why did you send me 0 checks for 2 years, 8 months if you wasn't hiding what you did to me? So now, check this. So now, I've already showed that they got a debt. The United States Postal Service has given the United States of America a debt to me. They sent me 0 checks for 2 years, 8 months. Now, I put in income tax saying that at the same time they were sending me 0 checks, I was defending the Florida Constitution against them inside of the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida. So not only, because I'm a union man, so I was on union time and they didn't pay me. See, I was defending the whole union, branch 1091 of the United States Postal Service, and it's branch 1091. So now I'm in the courts against the United States Postal Service, but I'm in there as branch member 1091. See, I'm a member of branch 1091. So now I'm a union member in court on union time. I wasn't supposed to be getting 0 checks. But see, this is what I'm saying about a slave who don't understand freedom. See, they'll take money and not the process. See, so that's like you saying, oh, all right, give me $100,000 and I'll be a slave. And I'm saying, well, why would you take $100,000 to be a slave? Well, I got $100,000. Yeah, but what happened when you spend $100,000, man? Now you're broke. But what about if you would have been intelligent and understood that the process to freedom is what you was opening the door to? But when you took $100,000, you sold your family into slavery for $100,000. See, but if you a patriot, then you look through the eyes of Dr. Martin Luther King, Minister Malcolm X, but George Washington, John Howell, Thomas Jefferson. See, even if they had racist motives, they still had a king that they were throwing off the shackles of. That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about what they did to the slaves when they became free. See, that's what I'm saying about the Israelites. See, I'm saying if God delivered you from your enslaver, why would you become an enslaver? See, now God has to deliver those who you enslave from you. See, that's what I'm asking black people. I'm saying, well, I freed us from my enslaver. But I understand now that you not enslaved. But now who gonna free me from you? Because the person who I thought I was freeing us from is now enslaving us both. So somebody done took some money. That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying, see, somebody done sold us into slavery. Now we don't have enough money to afford good health. We don't have enough money to afford to address climate change. Because see, now you got to be building a multi-million-dollar house to have this technology, right? So what I'm trying to do, what I did was I defeated the person who gave us a contract so they can then hoard prosperity. See, you got to work for them. They pay you less than, they make a ton of money, and now you have the masses starving the fruit. You have the few starving the masses. So what I did was I sued the 1%, just like the Bible say, if you're supposed to leave the 99 and go after the one. Well, that's what I did. I left the 99 who was being illegally impoverished. So say if I'm a shepherd and it's a false shepherd, but I had to be born and rise up to my age of maturity before I could take over the herd, right? Now, when I come up, I see that the shepherd is grazing and the sheep is starving. Now, well, wouldn't I have to defeat the shepherd so I can feed the sheep? Now, why would I then allow the shepherd to feed me? Shouldn't I now be feeding the sheep, the shepherd? If the shepherd was supposed to be allowing the sheep to graze, and now the sheep is starving, and so now how could you feed the village off of starving sheep? But now you see the shepherd who's supposed to be protecting the sheep from the lions and the bears is now the bear and the lion, because they eating all the sheep and they are not allowing the sheep to graze. See, so now all of us who have talents, they have now enslaved us within ourselves. We have talents, but the talents cannot be monetized because the person who have the ownership of the money don't want to pay you for your value. Now, once you understand your value, you will see that you are worth more than money. Now you change the currency when you change the mind of the asset. That's why I say if two slaves, right, are now leaders, who taught them how to lead when they slaves? So what they do is they manipulate those who follow them, because their leadership is not that of a leader, it's that of an anti-leader. See, that's why when you see who killed Jesus, you see the anti-Christ. See, if the high priest Caiaphas plotted against Jesus Christ, then quite naturally, the high priest Caiaphas is anti-Jesus. He the one plotted against him. Now, he then had the Pharisee, the chief priest, the high priest, the scribes, and the elders join him in the persecution of your Lord and Savior. Now, what I did is I then used the Florida Constitution, the United States Constitution, the Florida Bill of Rights, the United States Bill of Rights, the United States Declaration of Independence, statutory law, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Ten Commandments, the Holy Bible, and the Holy Quran against the descendants of the high priest Caiaphas, against the Pharisees, the chief priest, the high priest, the scribes, the elders, and Pontius Pilate. See, so they use Pontius Pilate, I use the law. So now, they fulfill the scriptures, which was a warning to Israel about their crimes against the law. Now, I use the law, and in fulfilling the law, then I'm showing you that I did not fulfill the scriptures. The preachers did. The bishops. See, because they are the ones that is teaching you out of the Bible, but they are not approved by the Bible. They are revealed by the Bible. See, that's two different things. See, I'm showing you by reading the Bible, I'm approving what I did through scripture. See, I'm saying, well, see, this is what I was supposed to do. See, I wasn't supposed to take the money. This when Jesus said, whose subscription is this? And see, I'm saying, well, see, I didn't take the money. They offered me money, but I was like, nah, man, I need to build schools. I need to build hospitals. But I want to build cruise ships, and I want to build hotels. See, that's what I want to do. But my daughter wanted to be a doctor, So why wouldn't I want to build her own hospital? Why wouldn't I? If I want to help my daughter and I am who I am, then why wouldn't I gift her a hospital? So she ain't got, so now she'll know, like, man, all I got to do is finish school, and I don't need to be hired. I'm hiring. Now here I am, a business person, right? My daughter in school to be a doctor. Well, wouldn't she be around all types of kids that want to be doctors? So now I'm not just building a hospital to employ my child. See, I'm building a hospital to employ doctors. So I'm using, my daughter inspired me to then build hospitals for those doctors that inspired to be doctors. So then I'm in there paying off their student loan debts, because some of them are first generation doctors and they'll be indebted the rest of their life. See what I'm saying? But I don't want them to be a doctor to pay off a student loan debt. See, I want them to be a doctor to heal my employees. See, I got an ulterior motive too. But what I'm saying is, my ulterior motive is to have my workers have adequate health care. So if I do not produce the lawyers and if I do not produce the doctors, then what is adequate in my kingdom? If my doctors are indebted to my oppressor, then my oppressor has oppressed my doctors. So how can my doctors be good doctors oppressed? See what I'm saying? So I'm saying I'm taking all of the pressure and I'm showing you who applying it.